We begin our tour of IKAATS with this window, which is the MATLAB command window. This MATLAB command window is already set to the directory that contains our copy of IKAATS. To boot up IKAATS, we merely select the main program, IKAATS.p, right-click it, and select Run. IKAATS then greets us, and then after clicking Continue, the IKAATS main menu comes up. IKAATS generates assessments using questions which are defined in so-called module files. This is the list of module files here in the middle. If we choose the module file Forces and then click MATLAB Editor, it will bring up this module file so you can see what it looks like inside. This is one of the question groups right here. In the first two lines, this question group contains information about how this group is included in various different types of assessments for the various courses. It also contains a line that defines the question, and a line that defines the right answer and also other possible answer choices, and then some other variables, which we won't get into here. If we scroll down farther, we can see how these question groups can also contain MATLAB script, which can define variables, choose random numbers for inputs to questions, calculations to calculate the correct answers to questions, and can also generate various plots and diagrams. Okay, now let's close the MATLAB editor. And now let's look at how you can use these module files to create assessments. Once you have your module file set up and your list of courses defined, then you merely choose the course, the type of assessment, an assessment number, and then you can either stick with the module files which have been assigned to that assessment number, or if you like, click on a module or modules to override that choice, and then you just click Run. Now we just continue with this particular mode of choosing questions in the module. We'll continue with this module selection. And now IKAATS will go about creating the assessment. And you'll note that it's creating figures and then embedding those in the assessment as it goes. And what you're seeing here on the left is how the assessment will look in the PDF copy. Now we've created the assessment. Now we can click Review Draft to take a look at it and see if it's come out in a form that's acceptable to us. We can then, using this navigation bar, click through that draft assessment and also through the answer key. And if we like it, we can close this review process and then click Produce Assessment, choose a directory to store it, choose a mode to produce it in, and now IKAATS will create a PDF version of this and an interactive electronic version of the assessment. Here now is the electronic version of the assessment, which students can take electronically via a shared drive. The way this is done is that students click down the problems one at a time, and as they go, they fill in the answers down here in the Your Answer section. And they can fill in multiple choice answers here, and also written answer questions here. In the upper right-hand corner here, they can also do calculations. For example, I can just enter m equals 2 for mass equals 2 kilograms, g equals 9.8 for the acceleration of gravity, and then on the next line, if I like, I can type in f equals m times g using the MATLAB multiplication operator, that is the asterisk, and then I can hit calculate, and the interface displays the answer down here. The interface also displays figures. If we go down to one of the later questions, number 22, when I click on that, it brings up the figure associated with that problem in a nice big window that the students can easily see. Let's close out of the electronic assessment now, and let's look at the PDF version. Here is the PDF version. which is formatted like a traditional assessment. This is something that instructors can simply print out and distribute to students in hard copy form. And if we step down through this, we can see how the figures are embedded in this. Now the figures shown here are made small for reasons of saving space, but they can be made larger and they can be placed either above, beside, or below a question group. And here is the answer key. Returning to the main menu now, we can see our new assessment listed here in the list of instructor-created assessments. And this can easily be reopened, and it can also be posted to the so-called remote repository from which students can access it and perform the assessment. Now, as we've seen already, module files can be created and edited with the MATLAB editor. But IKAATS also comes with its own special editor, which makes developing module files much easier. And we can access that editor simply by selecting a module file and then clicking IKAATS Editor. That brings up the editor interface, and within this editor we can select and load individual question groups and then edit them piece by piece. This editor is also very powerful because we can select and run any selected group or groups one at a time. After selecting the group or groups, we merely click Run Groups, and IKAATS runs that selection and shows us what that group or groups will produce. We can review it, close it, and go right back to the editor. The editor also allows us to easily move groups up and down and move questions around within groups and export content from groups, delete groups, and also create new question groups within module files with preset templates. And finally, one of the nicest features of the editor is that if you're running a module file or module files to create an assessment and IKAATS finds an error in one of those module files, then it will give you an option of either skipping over that erroneous question or opening that module file in the editor and taking you directly to the group that has the error. In this way, you can quickly test run module files and fix them with the editor, and that can speed up the development of module files a great deal. Let's now exit the editor and return to the main menu. Besides all these tools for developing question groups and module files and assessments, IKAATS also has a great many tools for course management. For example, as mentioned before, we can post assessments to what's called the remote repository, and IKAATS has a special tool for creating remote repositories. If we click on that tool, then we can choose a directory to create a remote repository in, and then do so. And now the remote repository has been created. This repository contains the student version of IKAATS and all the module files, and also contains all the folders that are needed for instructors to be able to collect assessments from students and then grade them and then return them to students. Next, there is another utility here called Update Remote Repository, which enables instructors to update just specifically anything they need to update in the repository, for example, module files, or if they change the course list, or other changes that they might make to IKAATS in the meantime. And now, speaking of making changes to the course list and to modules, there is a special set of utilities accessed over here on the left, which gives us a complete set of different menus for doing things like managing the course list, importing modules, or comparing modules, and then we have a special utility for managing the module list, and then for making module assignments and creating syllabi, and then also for managing what are called the inclusions in modules, which are the special indicators which indicate which particular types of assessments in which courses a given question group is assigned to. And so, to summarize, using all of these tools and the editing tools provided from the main menu, you can easily customize IKAATS for your own courses. Let's now return to the main menu. Now, once you've customized IKAATS to have the correct list of courses for your courses, and you've got your module files all set to go, you can actually produce an entire semester's worth of assessments at the click of a button by clicking Run, Create, Produce Multiple. So we'll do that for this first course here, Fundamental Physics 1. And if we click down through the assessment numbers here, we can see the various modules that have been assigned for this course. Now we'll go ahead and produce the entire semester's worth, and we'll make some choices here, the details of which I won't get into. And now we'll specify which assessment numbers we'll produce these for, and we'll do this for 1 through 9, which is up to but not including the final exam here. And we'll do this for the homework assignments, the quizzes, and the regular exams. And now IKAATS goes ahead and creates all the assessments one by one. And now we'll take a little coffee break and come back here in about 20 minutes and see what IKAATS has done. And here we are now, about a half an hour later, and we have a full set of assessments. It took slightly longer than I expected, probably because I started to watch some YouTube videos in the meantime. We can now post this entire set of assessments to the remote repository all at once. And there we go. The entire set of assessments is now available to students. When students access these assessments, they do so using this, the student version of IKAATS, which is running here for a fictitious student named I. Suzuki. The student version is locked to the course that the student is taking and accesses only the modules that are relevant to that course. And the student cannot edit these modules or view the contents of these modules. However, the student can generate their own practice versions of assessments. Students also use this interface to access their gradebooks and manage their assessments. They do so by clicking this button here, and this is what a typical student gradebook looks like. Across the top, we see the assessments that we posted earlier, and we can move back and forth and look at the whole set. Below that, we see the status of each assessment and a grade, if any. And then to the far right, we have 3 types of final grades: a current grade, a projected grade, and a maximum possible grade. Then below, we have buttons that the students can use to open or reopen assessments, submit assessments, review returned assessments, and so forth. Returning now to the instructor's version of IKAATS, we see that similar to the student version, there is a button in the lower right-hand corner for opening the instructor's gradebook. And this can take some time, because when this gradebook opens, it actually regrades all of the assessments in its collection in case any changes have been made to the grading. And here's a typical instructor's gradebook, say midway through a course. Here we see many assessments which have been graded and returned. Here are some which have been submitted, not yet graded. and here are some which haven't been submitted yet. And we can see the current final grade status of all the students in the course as well. And we also see many buttons along the bottom here, but with very different functions from those in the student version. For example, we have a button for grading an assessment, and another for robo-grading many assessments at once in an automatic way. We also have buttons for retrieving submissions and returning assessments. These gradebooks also allow us to exclude various questions midstream during grading and then update those exclusions to the entire class. We can also prevent unwanted submissions from occurring, or, by clicking this button, re-enable submissions when needed. And finally, we can insert dummy assessments for assignments that are outside of IKAATS. Up in the left-hand corner here, you can also see where the grade weightings are set and how those changes are saved. Let's now return to the main menu. And now, let's conclude this tour by running a series of modules and look at the images that are created along the way. This is so that you can gain a better idea of the kinds of figures that you can generate and include in IKAATS. I'm going to edit out most of the run except for just those figures to save time. And we'll choose the modules vectors, projectiles, electric fields, magnetic fields, simple DC circuits, and simple AC circuits. And that concludes our quick tour of IKAATS. Thank you for watching.